You know that feeling of being so deep into a book, somebody has to call your name 3 times before you even realize they're talking to you? Or how about this one? You tell yourself you're just going to read one more chapter before bed, and suddenly, what feels like 10 minutes later, you look up and it's 2 in the morning. Have you ever felt like the main character in the book you're reading is someone real, like it's someone you know in real life, or like the events of the book are actually happening to you? Believe it or not, this experience has a name. It's called narrative transportation. It is not a magic trick. It is something you can learn to do and deliberately include in your books. I'm going to show you how. If you're new here, I'm Holly Schindler, an award-winning author as well as freelance editor, writing coach, and writing instructor. Now I'm going to tell you that in order to transport your reader, it's going to rely on you understanding some basics about what neurologically happens to your reader when they're actually reading your book. But don't worry, it is not super technical, and I guarantee you if you will wrap your own brain around this entire process, you will be so far ahead of the game. Imagine I write this. She was scared. Now that's simple enough. You understand it, but you're not really inside it. Now imagine I write this. Her palms went slick. The wet air felt too humid to breathe. Something metallic crept up the back of her tongue. That one was a little different, right? Your body actually reacted to that. You could actually feel humid air. You could actually begin to taste something on the back of your own tongue. Okay, but what was different that time, that second time? It certainly wasn't prettier writing necessarily, right? What was different? It was neurological activation. Now again, that sounds really scientific and technical, but all I'm saying here is when your reader is given an opportunity by the text that you write to feel as though they are inside that story, they're not just observing it from a distance, certain areas of the brain will light up. That's the beginning of narrative transportation. Now to go into this just a little bit deeper here, I'm going to talk to you about mirror neurons, the default mode network, and the social brain. These 3 neurological systems are going to allow your reader to experience your book as though it is happening to themselves. Okay, mirror neurons. The gist of mirror neurons is that the same neurons fire in your brain when you engage in an activity and when you witness an activity. You might have had this experience in your own life. Say you're sitting on a park bench somewhere and someone comes along, they pull up in front of a building and they're struggling with a box, right? They've got this really heavy box. They're trying to get out of the back of their car and get into the front of the building. How long can you stand to sit on that park bench and watch that person struggle before you get up and you either open the door for them or you help them get that box out of their car and through the door? Now it could be argued those mirror neurons of yours are kicking into gear here and doing their job, right? You are actually experiencing the struggle with this box yourself because you're witnessing it. Those mirror neurons are firing in your brain. You're experiencing that struggle as though you were the one with the heavy box. That's why you get up and help. Okay, so think about that for a minute. That means that when your main character is pinched or tastes something really, really bitter, or maybe feels the sting of ice against their fingertips, your reader's mirror neurons will fire for that experience as well. That's why sensory specifics are so important in your text. The default mode network. Now basically, this is the section of your brain that kicks in when you are not actively engaged in a task. It is your daydream center. And what's important about your daydream center? What do you daydream about? You're actually kind of problem solving. You're imagining a lot of times your life in the future. You're daydreaming about what it might happen if you get up the guts to ask this person you have a crush on out, right? Or what would happen if you actually applied for your dream job. You got up the guts to do it. You play out scenarios in your brain. That's what daydreaming is. It's a problem-solving machine. What activates the default mode network in a book? Stakes. Again, the more specific, the better. Take this statement. She wanted to be happy. Okay, again, we understand that, but now let's take it a step further. Let's make it specific. She wants custody of her son at Thursday's hearing. Okay, that makes our brain kick into gear, right? We begin to imagine possible outcomes. Our default mode network is kicking in. What could she possibly do to secure her son's custody at Thursday's meeting? Vague stakes will not engage your reader's default mode network. Specific stakes will. All right, the social brain. Now this one's fun. This one is the section of your brain that is engaged in real life in interpreting the people around you, right? It's trying to figure out if somebody you're talking to is being genuine, what their motives are. You're kind of reading their body language. It's also the part of your brain that is responsible for you making connections, with friends or acquaintances in real life. And there is absolutely some indication that, the same network kicks into gear when your reader is reading your book. They're trying to figure out who these characters in your book really are. Who is trustworthy? Is that narrator of yours reliable or not, right? They're trying to figure out these characters in the same way they try to figure out the characters in their real life. And they are absolutely forging connections to those characters. Reading a book is not a way to get away from social experiences. You are actually having a social experience when you read a book because you are connecting to the characters in it. So why is all this important? Not every book does this, right? Some books we skim, some books we get halfway through and we completely abandon them, but some books pull us in so deeply, they completely transport us into a fictional world. And those are the books we never forget. It's craft. And when you understand the importance of tapping into mirror neurons with specific sensory details, when you understand the importance of stimulating your reader's default mode network with specific stakes, and when you understand the importance of building social connections through main characters who are either relatable or completely authentic, it will transform your work. Your reader has a much better chance of being completely immersed in your world rather than feeling detached from it. If this way of thinking about fiction resonates with you and you are really interested in some of the science behind why some stories pull readers in and others don't, I go into this much deeper in my book, Narrative Transportation: The Science of Writing Immersive Fiction. I break the book into 3 different sections: sensory-rich world building, character construction that activates that social brain, and plot design that taps into that default mode network, sustains tension, and propels the reader forward. This book is for writers who want to understand what's going on in the reader's brain while they're reading your book and how to use that science deliberately when you're actually drafting your next work. Got some links to the book below. But even if you take nothing else from this video, remember this. Don't just tell your readers what's happening. Give them something specific to simulate. That's where immersion happens. I'll catch you in the next video. In the meantime, go write something.